What's up? What's up? What's up? It is, I don't know what my necklace is. It is your girl. Oh, it's on. It's your girl, Courage Molina, Pastor Courage Molina. And this is day 34 of our Bible reading, chronological Bible reading. And we are reading Exodus chapters 13 through 15. Let me see if I can get a little bit of better lighting. Y'all can see my journal and stuff up there. It's fine. It's not always perfect. What's up? Good morning. Glad you're here. Make sure I got my water, got my mind right, got my thoughts right. Y'all ready? Chapter 13, dedication of the firstborn. Then the Lord said to Moses, dedicate to me every firstborn among the Israelites. The first offspring to be born of both humans and animals belong to me. So Moses said to the people, this is a day to remember forever, the day you left Egypt, the place of your slavery. Today the Lord has brought you out by the power of his mighty hand. Remember, eat no food containing yeast. On this day in early spring, in the month of Abib, you have been set free. You must celebrate this event in this month each year after the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites. He swore to your ancestors that he would give you this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast. Then on the seventh day, celebrate a feast to the Lord. Eat bread without yeast during those 7 days. In fact, there must be no yeast bread or any yeast at all found within the borders of your land during this time. On the seventh day, you must explain to your children, I'm celebrating what the Lord did for me when I left Egypt. This annual festival will be a visible sign to you, like a mark branded on your head or your forehead. Let it remind you always to recite this teaching of the Lord. With a strong hand, the Lord rescued you from Egypt. So observe the decree of this festival at the appointed time each year. This is what you must do when the Lord fulfills the promise he swore to you and to your ancestors. When he gives you the land where the Canaanites now live, you must present all firstborn sons and firstborn male animals to the Lord, for they belong to him. A firstborn donkey may be bought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or a young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. However, you must buy back every firstborn son. And in the future, your children will ask you, what does all this mean? Then you will tell them, with the power of his mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, the place of our slavery. Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, so the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why I now sacrifice all the firstborn males to the Lord, except that the firstborn sons are all always bought back. This ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It is a reminder that the power of the Lord's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. Verse 17. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Thus the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to help you. When he does, you must take my bones with you from this place. The Israelites left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud, and he provided light at night with a pillar of fire. This allowed them to travel by day or by night, and the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from its place in front of the people. Oh, I can't see if you guys are chatting with me. It says, hold on. Oh, now I can see it. It had nothing. It was like top chat. Good morning. Oh, NLT. Yes, sorry. Good morning, y'all. Hey, make sure you like the video. Let me just go back real quick. So in um, chapter 13, verse 3. So Moses said to the people, "This is a day to remember forever, the day you left Egypt, the place of your slavery. Today the Lord has brought you out by the power of his mighty hand." Then in parentheses, it says, "Remember, eat no food containing yeast." Right? It's like this little aside. And then again in verse 5, you must celebrate this event in this month each year after the Lord brings you into the land of Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites. He swore to your ancestors that he would give you this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Couple of things. It's always a reminder to me that there are some things in the Bible where where the author is like retelling what happened or telling what was said or telling the story. And then there comes a portion sometimes where they take an aside, right? And they're not saying what happened, but now they're talking to the intended reader, giving them some additional insight. That happens throughout the Bible, really. And so it's just a reminder like, hey, this is not a diary, it's not a journal, and it wasn't written to me. And I think it is so important for us to remember that because yes, we're just reading it, but if we keep that in mind, it will impact how we approach it when we study it. We study it understanding that it's not a biography, it's not a story, it's not just like some random thing, and it's also not a diary where somebody's writing, oh, this is what happened today. This is being written after it happened, which means there is some knowledge that the author has that the people who lived at the time of whatever event was being covered didn't have, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if I'm making sense to you. Which is why that's why sometimes it's like, oh, but how do they know that? Well, they didn't know it when they were in that time, but the person who wrote it knew it because they wrote it after the events, right? It had already taken place. Moses didn't keep this journal while he was going through it. He wrote this while they were in the wilderness. So then he started to write out, by the Holy Spirit, the book of Genesis. Um, the wilderness detour, I also love that. We know what's about to happen with the Red Sea. Well, maybe you don't know, but something crazy is about to happen with the Red Sea situation. And that seems bad. It seems like, well, why did the Lord bring them that way? But it's such a great reminder that sometimes the things you're facing, though they may seem bad, they're not as bad as what God avoided for you. Does that make sense? It's not as bad as what you were like. There were two options. There were a couple options. The Lord was either going to take you to the left or to the right, and both would have worked. But because of where you are, right? And here's the thing, it was going to be an obstacle either way. In order for them to leave Egypt and get into their promised land, there was going to be some obstacle that they had to face along the journey anyway. Either it was going to be the Philistines or it was going to be the Red Sea. There was no journey that was going to take them from where they are to the promised land without any struggle. You are not going to go from where you are being a slave to sin, bondage, old thought patterns, mindset, old habits, behavior, old relationships, old beliefs. You're not going to come from that and then get to the promised land where you are healthy and healed without there being some type of obstacle. You're not going to go from depressed, right? Being depressed or struggling with anxiety or struggling with like low self-esteem, or you're not going to go from that to the promised land having a mind that is free of anxiety, where you are casting all your cares on God and you are walking in the peace that he has promised you, where you're not having depressive episodes or depressive thoughts and you're not spiraling emotionally. You're not going to go from depressed to a place of freedom without some type of obstacle. The truth is, it doesn't matter what obstacle you face, because with God, you are going to be able to overcome it. Right? With God, you're going to be able to overcome it. He chose the path of least resistance for you. Right? He has not presented to you something that you would not be able to overcome with him. Yes, there is sometimes it's more than you can bear alone. But he's not going to put you in a situation where you're going to be tempted, right? Beyond what you can handle. So he didn't send them the route of the Philistine, which would have been easier. He certainly could have helped them to win there, right? I mean, goodness gracious. He just did all of these wonders that they saw by his hand. They had a firsthand account of what God was when they got to see it actually for themselves. But he knew, even with everything they witnessed, even with what I just did, if they have to fight, child, they're gonna go back to slavery. If they have to fight, they going back. So we gonna have to take them. It's still going to be an obstacle that they're going to have to overcome. It's still going to require that they rely on me. I'm still going to be able to show myself as God, but this is going to be the better route for my children, because if they go that route, these folks going to go back home. Sometimes I think about the choices that I made or how things turned out in my life, and I think, well, it's a good thing that that didn't work out, because if that had worked out, I don't think that I would have had the strength to walk away from a job that was XYZ, right? I might have stayed where I was if things had been better, if I had made more money, right? Because I was going to go to law school. I was going to go to law school. Um, and maybe I wouldn't have made, first of all, we know I would have been successful, right? But maybe I wouldn't have been able to walk away from law, right? For ministry. Do you see what I'm saying? It's always going to be an obstacle. It was something I had to overcome to get here. But the Lord's like, nah, because if she's doing that, she ain't gonna leave that for this. So let's go ahead and take her this way. Still gonna be some obstacles she's gonna have to get over. But we still gonna get her to where we need her to be. I hope this is making sense to y'all. Chapter 14. Then the Lord gave these instructions to Moses. Order the Israelites to turn back and camp by Pi Hahiroth. Hahiroth? That just does not sound right. Between Migdal and the sea. Camp there along the shore, across from Baal Zephon. Then Pharaoh will think the Israelites are confused. They are trapped in the wilderness. And once again, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. I have planned this in order to display my glory through Pharaoh and his whole army. After this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped there as they were told. Verse 5. When word reached the camp of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. What have we done letting all those Israelite slaves get away? They asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariots and called up his troops. Sometimes people are chasing you back, not because they've realized that they lost a good thing and they've changed, they want to love and respect you, but sometimes they chasing you down because they want to continue to manipulate you, because they want to come and continue to take advantage of you. So sometimes people chasing you and they're like, oh, we just want you to come back. We really appreciate you. Sometimes people are chasing you down, not because they have come to their senses and now they want to partner with you, but we can see they're about to chase them. All chasing ain't good chasing. They about to chase them down so that they can continue to use them. Chill. Mm. Verse 6. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariots and called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots, his charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Pi Hahiroth, across from Baal Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Why you brought us out here to die? Hmm? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness." You ever want to go back to the thing that had you bound? You're like, you know what? I should have just stayed on that job. You know what? I should have just stayed in that relationship. I should have just stayed in that position. I should have just stayed with that same group. I should have just stayed, because over here, it's so much harder. No? Not y'all? Y'all never experienced that? Okay, I'm gonna keep it going. Um, Verse 13. But Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid, just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Well, I know why they crying, because they ain't got no sense. But what you crying for?" Oh, he talking to me. What you crying for? Tell these people what to do. You know what to do. When you face something that seems like it's too much, you know what to do. What have I told you to do the whole time? You pick up your staff, you get what you have in your hand, boom, and I'm gonna do what I do. What you come to talk to me for? Leaders, courage. The Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. Divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground." I wonder, do the Lord, I wonder, can we talk about what I wonder? I wonder if the Lord felt like, because it's not like Moses ever parted the sea before. See what I'm saying? So I'm just like, why are you crying out to me? So why are you talking to him like that? You know what I'm saying? I wonder if the Lord, I wonder if this is because the Lord felt like, you know, I've been with you this whole time. So instead of running to me crying about the situation, why don't you use your hand and say what you need, even if it seems crazy? And so clearly, what you need is to get across the Red Sea. So tell the Red Sea to part, right? Like, I wonder, why did he say that to Moses? Why are you crying out to me? Why didn't he, one, just tell him what to do? Um, Two, what was it that Moses knew or should have known to do, so that you know what I'm saying, that made the Lord say, like, "What you calling me for? You already know what to do." Like, do, but we didn't see where the Lord told him. They never been to a Red Sea before. They never parted the sea before. So why is he saying, "Why are you crying out to me?" I'm just very curious about that. It makes me feel like there is something that maybe Moses, I mean, like, the Lord knows our thoughts. So maybe Moses had an idea. "Ooh, wouldn't it be cool?" Sometimes your idea is like, "Wouldn't it be cool if?" You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't it be cool if? I wonder if I imagine, I love that you said that. Venus says, "I wonder if he could have imagined walking through the Red Sea." I wonder if he could have imagined it too. And I wonder what stunts our imagination, right? So let's say he couldn't imagine it. Because I don't know that I could have imagined it. That doesn't mean that you want to be me. But what if he couldn't imagine it? Do you know what I'm saying? Our imagination is sometimes stunted by our belief about what God could do. Right? We have a Boulder morning routine. It's an acronym. Boulder is an acronym for all these activities, and O is optimize your imagination. And I don't think that we spend enough time imagining. That's why it's a part of the morning routine, so that you can imagine all of the craziest things that you would love to see God do in any area of your life, whether it's your mental, physical health, in your finances, in your friendships, in your business and your ministry, like any place that you can think of just in your life, right? Like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? Writing those things out, allowing your imagination to kind of run away with you. I wonder if he couldn't imagine it because there was still a part of him that really still could not get, like, "Oh, I can legit do anything through God, anything that my mind can think of." Or I wonder if he was imagining it. I wonder if he did have that in his head. And that's why the Lord was like, "Why are you crying to me? You already got the idea." I think the Lord speaks to us, and he speaks to us in our voice and in our thoughts, right? Like, it sounds like us. You think it's your idea, but it's not really your idea. It's the Lord's idea. And so I think because we don't hear, it's not prophesied from another person. A person's not coming to you and saying, "Hey, this is what the Lord is telling me, right, about you," or whatever. Or because you don't hear this audible voice coming from outside of your head, it's not written in the sky, in the clouds, or whatever. I think we think because it's our thoughts, because it comes from the inside of us, we believe like, "Oh, I initiated this great idea." So I wonder if God placed that idea on the inside of Moses and wanted Moses to act on what he gave him. It's all pontificating, right? Because I certainly don't know and it doesn't speak to it. But it does give us this idea that there might have been something that God expected for Moses to know, to believe, do, or say without crying to him about it. Or maybe it wasn't that he came to him, maybe it was how he approached him. Maybe God didn't have a problem with him coming to him saying, hey, what do you want us to do? Maybe he was crying, right? Like whining. I don't want no kid coming to me whining. You do not gotta want what you wanted for it. Use your words, right? So that could be it too. It's not so much that Moses came to him, but it's the manner in which he came, right? Where ages will glory, when my glory. Let's just start back at the top. Okay. Verse 15. Then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. Divide the waters so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will charge in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am the Lord. Then the angel of God who had been leading the people of Israel moved to the rear of the camp. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them. I mean, these sound like people, right? Stood behind them. I wouldn't say that a cloud stood unless it was a person or a being, just saying. The pillar of cloud also moved into the front and stood behind them. When you say stayed behind them, but stood, that's a personhood. The cloud settled between the Egyptians and Israelite camps. As darkness fell, the cloud turned to fire, lighting up the night. But the Egyptians and Israelites did not approach each other all night. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry land with walls of water on each side. Then the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers, chased them into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw their forces into total confusion. He twisted their chariot wheels, making their chariots difficult to drive. Let's get out of here, away from these Israelites, the Egyptians shouted. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt. Verse 26. When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, raise your hand over the sea again. Then the waters will rush back and cover the Egyptians and their chariots and charioteers. So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea, and the waters returned and covered all the chariots and charioteers, the entire army of Pharaoh. Of all the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea, not a single one survived. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground as the water stood up like a wall on both sides. That is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. And the Israelites saw the bodies of the Egyptians washed up on the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. Listen, this is so good. Lots of things. One, he used the wind. He used the wind. Science and scripture are not mutually exclusive. It is my opinion that science is man's best attempt to understand God's work, right? It's how we process what God has done through his godness, right? And so I love that the water was blown back with a strong east wind. I also want you to notice that it took all night. It was inch by inch. It didn't happen like that. It was a blessing. It was a miracle. It was a sign and a wonder, right? But it didn't happen in the blink of an eye. It took all night long, and he kept the enemy at bay while this way was being prepared. That is the same thing he does for us. You may not be able to cross the Red Sea right now. But while you're waiting for the way to appear, because the way was always there, while you're waiting for the way to appear, for him to reveal your next move, the next step, maybe he's revealed it, but you can't do it yet. You can't walk into it yet. You're waiting for him to set some things up for you. Understand that whatever the enemy is behind you, whatever that thing is you're so worried about catching up with you, it's not going to catch up with you. It's not going to catch up with you. I remember when I first quit my job, I felt like those bills were going to catch up with me every single day, every single month. I was like, oh my goodness, all these bills are stacking up. All these bills are coming through. You know, what happens when all these due dates come and there still is no money? Ooh, child. So I love that. I love that it didn't happen overnight. Um, I want you to imagine, like when you are reading the Bible, I want you to just take a moment and imagine what that looks like. Understand what the seed looks like. Understand what the shore and the land looks like, and the depths of the Red Sea. Right? It whatever the depths was of the Red Sea, it means that the water had to be up, you know, that high on the side. It means that they had to walk down on some level of decline to get to the bottom of the sea. It's not like there was a staircase there. It's not like it was a slide or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like when he pulled back those waters for them to cross, they went across at the bottom of the sea. Do you know, like, do you understand how far down that is? Like, for the Red Sea, that's quite the decline. So even though he made a way, it's not the cutest way you've ever seen. It's probably not the most encouraging way you've ever seen. It's probably not how you imagined it would happen. It's probably not how you would have designed it if you could have designed it, but you're not God, and God knows better than us, right? It probably was still a scary thing. And that means that the walls of the oceans are on both sides. The animals are still there. It's like an aquarium, but they never been to no aquarium before. Do you know what I mean? You got, I don't know what's in the Red Sea. I don't know what kind of marine life is in the Red Sea, but there's some kind of marine life. There's got to be like rocks and plants at the bottom. It's not like, I think that we imagine this sidewalk that just appeared. The Red Sea was part, and then there was the stairs, and they just walked across like those little things they have at the airport, and it was such a smooth thing. I feel like the water was probably the dirt was probably soft. I mean, it's been in the water since the beginning of time. I feel like there were probably rocks and plants down there too, like they got stepping over, I don't know what kind of foliage, but some type of marine life, you know what I'm saying? So even that was something, right? Like even that was the awe of the Lord, being able to see things that they'd never seen before. It wasn't no science, wasn't no biology, wasn't no marine biologist back then going down. So now they're even able to see, marine life that they might have never even seen. Like, just, you understand what I'm saying? Mind blown. That's all I'm saying. And then the Lord fought with them. That's right. That's I could get with that. He got in the fight. A lot of times we say, well, oh, we're all serving the same God. No, I have a God that gets involved. So it's not the same. You think it's the same because I say God and you use the word God, but it's actually not the same. We not the same. We different. Because not everyone who believes in God, and I got my air quotes up, is talking about the God who gets involved. Don't you love that you have a God that will get involved? He not just on the sideline. He will get in the ring with you. What's good? That right there I can get with. Chapter 15. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horse and rider into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory. This is my God, and I will praise him. My father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and army he has hurled into the sea. The finest of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters gushed over them. They sank to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, is glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, smashes the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow those who rise against you. You unleash your blazing fury. It consumes them like straw. At the blast of your breath, the waters piled up. The surging waters stood straight like a wall. In the heart of the sea, the deep waters became hard. The enemy boasted, I will chase them and catch up with them. I will plunder them and consume them. I will flash my sword. My powerful hand will destroy them. But you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you among the gods, O Lord, glorious in holiness, awesome in splendor, performing great wonders? You raised your right hand, and the earth swallowed our enemies. With your unfailing love, you led the people you have redeemed. In your might, you guide them to your sacred home. The peoples hear and tremble. Anguish grips those who live in Philistia. The leaders of Edom are terrified. The nobles of Moab tremble. All who live in Canaan melt away. Terror and dread fall upon them. The power of your arm makes them lifeless as stone until your people pass by, O Lord, until the people you purchased pass by. You will bring them in and plant them on your own mountain, the place, O Lord, reserved for your own dwelling, the sanctuary, O Lord, that your hands have established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers rushed into the sea, the Lord brought the water crashing down on them. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine and led all the women as they played their tambourines and danced. And Miriam sang this song. Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horse and rider into the sea. Um, I love this. I love this. One of the things that you might want to try doing, because what this is, it's really a tribute to what they've just gone through, to what God has done. And I wonder what it would look like if we took some time after we went through something, and we thought like even the small things that we behaved like were big things, right? Because I know we're not all going through things where people are chasing us, but we sometimes behave like that. We respond that way, like it's the worst thing ever, and that's fine. But I wonder what it would look like if we began to write out our tributes, right? This language that they use, the way that it's written is beautiful. I certainly don't have that type of talent. But I wonder if we use this as an example, right? What will you do to glorify God, right? I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horse and rider into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory. I wonder what it would look like if you talked about how you would praise God and what he has done for you. He is my provider. He is my right. If you were going through a difficult time, you didn't know how you were going to get paid. He is my provider. He is my healer. When other people talked about my foolishness and how I wouldn't make my bills, when the tears ran like rivers from my eyes because I myself doubted you, Lord, you continue to be faithful, right? I wonder what it would look like if we started to write out our victories that way. We would take a moment to think about how God has helped us, how we were able to reconcile in a relationship that we thought was, a little shaky. If we looked at the years of our life that we thought we wouldn't make it, I wonder what it would look like if we would start to write out our tributes to God in that way, just the way they did, and talk about what God did. God, you came in and you opened a door with your hand. It was so easy. You had an opportunity waiting for me. While I was concerned about where my next meal would come from, God, you had already sent a deliverer to me, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? What it would look like if we just wrote out our triumphs in this gorgeous language. Even if you only did like once a month, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that would kind of be cool. I've never done it, but I just thought of it right now. So maybe I'll do it. Because I think it would be just think it would be cool. Even if it didn't sound, as beautiful as they're making it sound, just to have a record of it, just to have a record, a legacy. So much of what they did was legacy building. Verse 22, chapter 15, verse 22. Then Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea, and they moved out into the desert of Shur. They traveled in this desert for 3 days without finding any water. When they came to the oasis of Mara, the water was too bitter to drink, so they called the place Mara, which means bitter. Then the people complained and turned against Moses. What are we going to drink? They demanded. So Moses cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it into the water, and this made the water good to drink. It was there at Mar that the Lord set before them the following decree as a standard to test their faithfulness to him. He said, "If you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight, obeying his commands and keeping all his decrees, then I will not make you suffer any of the diseases I sent on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." After leaving Mara, the Israelites traveled on to the oasis of Elim, where they found 12 springs and 70 palm trees. They camped there beside the water. That's it. I thought this was really good. Wait, let me just go back real quick. I just want to say one thing. They traveled in the desert for 3 days without finding any water. When they came to the oasis of Mara, the water was too bitter to drink. Then the people complained and turned against Moses. "What are we going to drink?" they demanded. So Moses cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it in the water. Moses waited until the people complained, right? Like he didn't know what to do. He got there, they needed water. You're facing a situation and you know that you don't have the answer. You've been looking for what you need for a couple days, couple weeks, couple years, and you still don't have the answer. How long will you wait to turn to God? Will you wait until the people get desperate? We wait until people start complaining? Like, how long do you typically wait for you to seek God when you realize, like, um, I can't find something, or I've been looking for something, and do you know what I mean? Like, how long do you wait before you seek God to find out hey, we've been out here for a couple days. We ain't really got no water, so just let me know, what you like for me to do. Because you know that God can do anything. Moses waited until the people started complaining to him before he took it to God, and then the Lord told him what to do. I wonder if the Lord would have told him what to do on day one if he had asked for it. First day they realized they needed it. I just wonder. Maybe not, but the word of God says we have not because we ask not. As soon as he asked, he got it. So maybe it would have been sooner. All right, I pray that this has blessed you this time in the reading. If you like this video, be sure that you have subscribed to this YouTube channel. Share this Bible reading. Bible reading is so important, just like taking time every day to get in the Word. It takes me 36 minutes because I'm running my mouth with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Sharing my thoughts. But you could read it in like 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like you could read it or listen to it in 15 minutes without any additional commentary. And then take that other 15 minutes to write out your own thoughts. Y'all know I believe in at least an hour of study time. And so people think, oh, it don't take all that. It's so annoying to hear people say that. Those same people will tell you to spend an hour at the gym or an hour doing whatever else. Like there are lots of things that you can't even get done in an hour. Your hair, if you got hair like me. Okay. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, make things that are a priority to you a priority in your in your life, in your timetable, on your calendar. All right, that's it. I love y'all, and I will see y'all tomorrow, Wednesday, 7 a.m. Y'all hear the dog snoring? It's better than barking, so we'll take that. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 7 a.m. right here on the Bold Faith Community Church YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and I'm your girl, Pastor Courage Molina. Love y'all. Later.